Are you no longer attracted to your partner? Well, look, the beginning of a relationship is often full of passion. You think about each other constantly and you want to spend every waking moment together, both in and out of the bedroom. It's all consuming. But more often than not, that type of heady attraction fades with time. And in long-term relationships, it's not uncommon for attraction amongst partners to dissipate. We do take for granted that just because we were attracted to our partner once before, that same attraction will stay forever without effort. So why does a loss of attraction happen over time? What do you do when it does? And how do you know if the spark in your relationship can be salvaged or not? A loss of attraction can happen for a myriad of reasons. Perhaps you've become bored with each other. Stability and security are really important ingredients for a healthy long-term relationship. But getting too comfortable with each other can make the partnership feel predictable and a little stale. That feeling of too much familiarity with a partner might negatively impact our attraction towards them. Perhaps you've got unresolved resentment, relationship conflicts, whether they're about, money or infidelity, sex, parenting issues, family drama, unequal division of the household responsibilities. This can all breed resentment if you've not worked through them in a fair and respectful manner. And those issues make you feel, distant from your partner or maybe angry, and that translates to decreased attraction. It's really common to stop interacting like romantic partners as well, which is so unfortunately. It's just all too easy for busy couples to slip into that taskmaster mode and just stay there, rarely stopping to nurture the romantic side of the relationship. Instead of sharing a kiss or catching up after the workday, they're just so focused on, divvying up the household chores, the to-do list, make dinner, do homework with the kids, take the dog for a walk, clean the kitchen, just get ready for bed, whatever. It's just wash, rinse, repeat. Anyone would get bored with that. And you cannot sustain the same level of attraction without effort over time. And this is what my channel is all about, sharing all the ways to stay connected. Because unconsciously, people may become stuck in their specific daily roles, parent, boss, caregiver. And consequently, this is how you communicate with your partner in the same demeanour. So long term, this can change our image in our partner's eyes and reduce their attraction. Perhaps you don't take care of yourself in the way that you used to. When a couple has a lot on their plate, let's face it, who doesn't? Making time for self-care can actually be really challenging. The effort that you once put into looking good and feeling great, it's just gone by the wayside. And that can affect how you feel about yourself as well as how your partner perceives you. So taking care of ourselves isn't just about the aesthetics. It's about, feeling healthy and being confident, and just improving your mood and wanting to go out and enjoy life. So what do you do if you are no longer attracted or if that's starting to dissipate? Look, a couples therapy session could help you get back on track, but I know that that's just an expense that may put pressure on your finances, which is why I'm here to show you so many ways to improve your relationship, no matter what the issue. It's so important that you don't assume the relationship is doomed. Firstly, ask yourself a few questions and get clarity on, when and why this happened. When did you start feeling less attracted to your partner? This will help you determine the source of the problem and maybe point you towards the potential solutions. So was it a gradual or sudden loss of attraction? What happened before you noticed this shift? Have you tried to actually address the problem? And what was the result? Consider that the shift may have little to do with your partner as well. Before you start pointing fingers, think about any role that you may have played in the loss of attraction. Perhaps there's just something that you don't like about yourself that you're transferring onto your partner. Or maybe you're not making the same effort that you used to earlier in the relationship, which in turn affects your partner's behaviour. For example, if you used to be really patient and kind, and now you're just very impatient, short, naggy, and this is likely impacting how they act with you. This, of course, then results in them acting less romantic and not caring as much about what impresses you. Of course, major life changes can change the dynamic as well. The death of a loved one, losing a job, a health issue. This can bring on feelings of loss and grief, especially if they're not dealt with. And you might be misplacing this towards your partner. It's so important to prioritise couple time, even when you're busy. If you can't recall the last time you had a date where you got dressed up and you went out to eat, had a little dance, watched a movie, just did something fun together, then it's no surprise that the spark has faded. I have physically written down 101 ways to stay connected, both in and out of the bedroom. And that's what I'm here to share. The most common thing that I've seen in couples who lose their attraction is that they just become too comfortable, become too stressed, and consequently you just don't make the couple part of the relationship important. You have to make sure that there are date nights, time for each other, even setting aside just time to connect at home. Hold hands, have a cuddle, have deep conversations. These little things can do wonders. And you should carve out time for intimacy. Take time every day to check in with each other without other distractions. Be present, be thoughtful. And, perhaps you need to know each other's love language to communicate through that. And if you don't understand what love language actually is, well, that's really important to know, because this is how we communicate. This is how we give love and receive love, and everyone can be different. So learning the different ways that people express and receive love just gives you an understanding, and that you can identify your own primary love language, but also recognize your partner and have just a much better understanding. This knowledge can really help you communicate more effectively and express love in the way that resonates with the other person. So, you can become more aware of different ways that people give and receive love. It just gives you that knowledge. And that can, of course, help you cultivate more meaningful and fulfilling relationships with all the important people in your life. But overall, by knowing your partner's love language, you can actually gain insight into how they give and receive love, and you use that knowledge to strengthen your relationship. And you can find out which love language both you and your partner are by clicking on this video next. And let me know in the comments if this information, has given you any insight, because I really look forward to empowering you with more knowledge to strengthen your bond and connection with your partner. Hope you've enjoyed.